Hello guys, and welcome to the second part of the Status Geographic series in the Philippines. And today, as you can see on the map, we're heading down to the middle part of the Philippines, known as the Visayas. Just using Sky Vector there, and a bit of a chart of approximately where I'll be going. Taking off from a Siquijor, from a community airport, so I believe it's like a gravel runway. I'm doing a somewhat of a circumnavigation of Siquijor, and then heading across to Dumaguete. Okay, let's jump inside and get going. And as always, I have to apologise for my voice once again. I'm having one of the worst allergy attacks I've ever had this morning. I think I sneezed about 20 times in a row. Crazy stuff. So I hope everyone's better than I am. Doing this on a Sunday morning, lovely Sunday morning in Adelaide. I can actually find out what it's like where we're flying from today. This is where my dad spends 6 months of his life every year, in our destination actually. So it's not a very long flight. Both islands are pretty close together. Dumaguete is a larger city. Sort of hard to compare it to anywhere I know of. Population is obviously nowhere near that of the bigger cities of Manila and Cebu. Last check in 2015, I think it was 131,000 and a half. Yeah, a bit of change. It's actually got one of the biggest universities, the most successful universities in Dumaguete in the Philippines. Siquijor, I think it's called. So it's actually a very very youthful sort of a town. There's a really nice boulevard, which sort of looks out. We'll actually see it as we fly into Dumaguete, so it sort of looks out and you can see Siquijor in a distance. Siquijor, of course, is the island we're going around now. I'll never forget the people I travelled with the first time I went to the Philippines were locals, and they did not want to head over to Siquijor. There's a myth that goes around the country that it's it's a mythical island. They do a lot of witchcraft, the locals over there. So it's known as Voodoo Island or Fire Island or the Mystical Island. It's actually quite funny because it's one of the most harmless places I've ever been to. And one of the most beautiful. Hasn't sort of been overly touched by tourism, which is nice. I've had the opportunity of staying there a few times, and I've actually seen a witch doctor in one of the mountains up there. She tried to cure my common cold. She had no luck though. She was sort of blowing into this bottle of clear water and was blowing it around my sinus rain engine, and then all the water turned to black, and that was meant to be all the stuff coming out of my head. I felt like absolute rat shit for the rest of the day as well, so I don't think she did much good. But nevertheless, it was good. Something interesting. It's an Australian-owned resort on Siquijor. So I'll leave a link of the place. If you're ever going to the Philippines, you've got to check it out. It is such a nice island, and such a nice resort. Reasonably priced too. And one of the most stunning sunsets I've ever seen. I literally sat there and watched the sun sort of go down for a couple of hours because it was just so peaceful, and just so beautiful. As far as the island of Siquijor, I'm just checking the population on that now. I'm horrible at spelling Siquijor as well. It's got the strangest spelling. Google's my friend. I wasn't able to get a plane over there. I don't know much about the airport we took off from. I've never seen it. The only way we've been able to get over there in the past has been by a super ferry. It's like a very small boat that goes reasonably quick. I wouldn't say it's the safest standards that you would see in more developed countries. At the same time, it was pretty cool. Yeah, especially if you don't get seasick. So fortunately, it's one thing I don't have. So I'm still trying to find the population. I don't think Wikipedia's helping me out here. Wikipedia is letting me down. Oh, here we go. According to the 2015 census, it has a population of 95,000. So there you go. One of the trips I did around Siquijor was like a day trip, which the resort that I just spoke about actually put on. And myself and my family were able to just go out with our own driver. Went to a few nice little places around. In fact, we circumnavigated pretty much all the island. It's about 70 k's, 70 kilometres. So yeah, nice day. I was really sick though. Really sick that day though, unfortunately. So I couldn't enjoy it as much as the rest of my family. And there over in the distance is a destination island actually, which is Negros. I'm heading into, as I said, the start of the video, the small city of Dumaguete. One cool thing about this, I wouldn't say it's cool actually, it's quite frightening. The airport has got a lot of similarities to one that a lot of the flight simulators on YouTube love landing on. St.Maarten's. So it's very similar. It's the runway is on the edge of the water, and it's the other end of the runway. Actually, there's a fence at the end of the runway, and then the other side of that is the main highway that goes through the town, and it's extremely busy. It's such an unusual airport. And they do land sort of the normal big airliners and commercials into the island and on that runway, and it can be quite interesting. You're sort of putting a lot of faith in the pilot, probably too much. I was told a story recently that one day, I think they usually have the active takeoff runway is on the city side, but on this particular day, due to the weather, I think they had to take off from the seaside, and as the jet was firing up to take off, a number of fishing boats which were in the water close to the runway flipped up into the air. No one was hurt from what I've been told, but they weren't very happy, the fishermen. So. As you can see, there's a number of islands sort of scattered as you look around. Once I get back to view. So just a bit to your right there, I think is the island of Cebu, at the tip of it. That's what we'll be doing our next flight. Another 2 episodes of the Philippines, and then we will move on. Let's get in the landing gear now. Now, I've actually never landed on this runway in simulation either, so it's going to be interesting if I can handle it. As I said, it's got strong similarities to St.Maarten's. It's a real challenge. Every time I've landed in there on this runway in real life, I've pretty much had my head almost in the chair in front of me. It's the brakes, just the plane comes to complete stop because it doesn't have a lot of room for error. So it's interesting. Friends close to me over in the region said it's only a matter of time before a catastrophe happens at the airport, so I hope that's not the case. Yeah, it would be worth doing something, I think, from what I've seen with that airport. So you're looking at it's a bit, there's mountainous regions in Negros. Oh, I think a couple of them, or one of them is a volcano. It is quite imposing, actually. Sort of a real nice backdrop of Dumaguete. As I was saying before, the boulevard is so cool. They've just got so many eateries and bars, and it's got that real sort of that tropical. How do I say it? It's a really nice vibe, especially at night, with the restaurants and the bars and karaoke places, everything like that going. It's really cool. You got that youthful atmosphere too. It was around this time last year. My dad was dining out on one of the restaurants over there, and there was a whole bunch of Canadians having dinner as well. And it turns out one of them was actually Joshua Jackson, which some of you might know is a reasonably big movie star. He was Charlie Conway in the Mighty Duck movies, and also starred in Dawson's Creek. And I think he does a couple of TV shows now. The reason he was there in Dumaguete was he was filming a documentary for National Geographic. I later found out through Instagram posts, so that was pretty cool. There's a smaller island that they do day tours from Siquijor called Apo Island. They do a lot of diving there. It's one of the most popular diving places in Asia. I'm not really much of a diver, so I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. Well, we can see the airport just up in the distance there. And to the right of the airport, if you go further up the coast, I've actually been up to a place called, I think it's Bayes City. Went out for a morning boat ride. Pretty much we hired a boat with a full crew just for our family to go out dolphin spotting, and also there was some whale watching as well. Well, we didn't see any whales on that day, but yeah, it was great. We got to go out in a sandbar in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, did a bit of jumping off the boat, and then one of the crew members, he was probably about 20 metres away, and he'd actually got a water snake. I don't know how he caught it, but it was in his hand. I remember getting a picture of it. I was straight back in the boat. That was frightening. So Prepar doesn't really depict what the runway's like, because there's Dumaguete just over there to the left, and it's obviously within the runway as well. But the runway is actually closer to the water than this. But nevertheless, It's a pity they don't have any scenery for the Philippines. They've covered the mountains pretty well. Looks about right. Done a nice approach at least. It's a Malibu Mirage as well, this airplane. Sorry, should have mentioned that at the start. First time I've flown it. Don't know if I'm a fan of it yet. Yes, like my Naveo. Well, the highway's depicted quite well. I think they're running across the runway there. It's about right. There we go. We've arrived in Dumaguete. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. We're going to leave it there now. Next, I think we're going to do another A to B sort of a flight from the Cebu city of Cebu, what do you want to call it, across to Bohol, to another airport, which will be pretty cool. Next Sunday night. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.